Have you ever felt inexplicably angry at someone without fully understanding why? Have you ever had the feeling that someone is attacking you for something that you actually carry inside of you? This confusing dynamic, full of seemingly unjustified accusations and judgments, may be the manifestation of the Jungian shadow in action and the key to understanding how manipulation lurks in our relationships. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden power of shadow and projection, two powerful concepts from Carl Jung's analytical psychology that will help you recognize and protect yourself from manipulators. Imagine the situation: you are at a work meeting. A colleague who is constantly criticized for being disorganized begins to blame you being sloppy and irresponsible, projecting their ineffectiveness onto you. Sound familiar? This is a classic example of projection, an unconscious defense mechanism that allows us to project our own undesirable traits, our inner shadows, onto other people. For Jung, the shadow does not simply represent the dark or negative side of the personality, it is the repository of all aspects that we repress due to shame, fear, or social conditioning. These are impulses, desires, qualities that we consider unacceptable and therefore banish into the unconscious. But the shadow, being suppressed, does not disappear, it manifests itself in a disguised way, often through projection. When projecting, a person does not face his own demons, but attributes them to someone external, trying to justify his behavior or alleviate his own guilt. The manipulator, a master of this art, uses these unconscious dynamics to control and dominate. It acts like a mirror, reflecting back your deepest insecurities and fears, creating a dynamic of guilt and addiction that keeps you trapped. Identifying a projection is not an easy task. He acts subtly, often masquerading as sincere criticism or well-meaning advice. Observe carefully: criticism is often exaggerated, disproportionate to the situation, or focused on aspects that you know are not entirely true. Notice whether the other person's behavior seems unrelated or contradictory to your own words and actions. A manipulator often blames others for what he does or feels. He may judge you for being too emotional, when in fact he himself is a cold and calculating person. Understanding the concepts of shadow and projection is the first step to strengthening your defenses against manipulators. With this knowledge, you will begin to recognize the patterns that reveal this dynamic and learn to protect yourself from its clutches. In this video, we'll look at 6 other warning signs, always based on the teachings of Carl Jung, to give you a thorough understanding of how to recognize and deal with manipulation. Subscribe to the channel to continue your journey to self-awareness and emotional freedom. Now that we understand the power of shadow and projection in manipulation, let's explore another important mechanism: the use of symbols and archetypes. Carl Jung devoted much of his work to the analysis of symbols, recognizing their profound influence on the collective unconscious. Cunning manipulators take advantage of this knowledge by using symbols and metaphors to subconsciously influence their victims. They create narratives laden with symbolic meaning, appealing to deeply held emotions and beliefs without you even noticing the manipulation in action. Imagine a politician using images of a friendly family and smiling children in his speeches. Not only does it convey a political message, but it also refers to the archetype of the ideal family, a symbol universally associated with security and harmony. This emotional appeal, even if it is unconscious, can positively influence the audience, making them more receptive to your message, even if it is superficial or even false. The manipulation of symbols is subtle but extremely effective. Jungian archetypes such as the hero, sage, great mother, or shadow are universal unconscious images that live in our psyche. These archetypes evoke deep and powerful reactions, allowing the manipulator to access his most basic emotions and control his behavior. For example, a charismatic leader may position himself as a hero-savior, promising simple and immediate solutions to complex problems. The promise of redemption and hope evoked by the hero archetype can blind the audience, making them susceptible to manipulation. Another example: a spiritual guru may present himself as an enlightened sage, the owner of secret knowledge leading to salvation. An unshakable belief in the authority of the sage, often fueled by a person's own attachment to the archetype, makes him vulnerable to any type of abuse of power, emotional or financial. The manipulator uses faith and hope, exploiting your innate need for beliefs and values. Recognizing symbolic manipulation requires critical analysis of the messages we receive. Ask yourself: what emotions do you evoke? What archetypes are used? Does the message correspond to reality or does it appeal to unrealistic fantasies and desires? Beware of overly emotional speeches, full of metaphors and symbols without a strong logical basis. Question the narrative being presented and seek additional information from reliable sources. Only by being vigilant and critical can you recognize and protect yourself from this subtle but powerful form of manipulation. Remember, conscience is the best weapon against manipulation. The social mask, the persona, is a fundamental concept in Jungian psychology and a powerful tool of manipulation. Jung described persona as the face we present to the world, a kind of mask that protects our true self, our unconscious, from social pressure. While a healthy personality provides social adaptation, an exaggerated or false personality can be used as a tool of manipulation, creating a deceptive image to influence others. Manipulators often create elaborate images, projecting an image of competence, reliability, or charisma when in reality their intentions are completely different. Notice how some people project an image of power and superiority by using technical jargon or complex language to impress and intimidate. They may dress impeccably, cultivating an aura of success and power to create a false sense of security and confidence. Behind this display of superiority lies a deep insecurity and a need to control others to compensate for one's own weaknesses. The persona in this case does not reflect your true being, but rather an artificial construct designed to manipulate and dominate. Another example. A manipulator may take on the image of a victim, seeking compassion and support for personal gain. He may exaggerate his problems or create dramatic situations to arouse sympathy in others, exploiting their generosity and kindness. In both cases, the persona creates a distance between the public image and private reality, allowing the manipulator to hide behind a carefully constructed facade. Detecting a false identity requires attention and careful observation. Notice the discrepancy between words and actions. The manipulator may talk about honesty and transparency, but his actions demonstrate the exact opposite. Also notice if there is a discrepancy between the image he projects and his actual behavior in less formal situations. Identity is destroyed in moments of spontaneity, revealing the true nature of the person behind the mask. Also, be wary of people who seem overly perfect or never show vulnerability. The absence of flaws can be a sign of a carefully constructed personality, an unrealistic and artificial image. Real relationships involve accepting our imperfections and vulnerabilities, so the absence of these characteristics can be a warning sign. Learning to recognize and not trust false personalities is necessary to protect yourself from manipulation and build healthy, sincere relationships. Remember, true connection is based on authenticity, not illusion. Intuition for Carl Jung is not just a hunch or a hunch, but rather a fundamental cognitive function that allows us to unconsciously access information, providing insight and perception beyond the reach of the logical mind. In the context of manipulation, intuition is a valuable resource for identifying suspicious patterns and manipulative behavior, often before we are fully aware of what is happening. It's the feeling that something is wrong, a feeling that alerts us to danger even if we don't have concrete evidence. Imagine a situation where you are negotiating a contract. Even though all the points seem perfect, and the other negotiator demonstrates cordial and respectful behavior, you feel a pang of discomfort, an inner feeling that something is not entirely clear. This feeling, this intuition, could be a warning sign that you are dealing with a manipulative person who is hiding important information or subtly manipulating the terms of a contract. Intuition works on an unconscious level, processing information much faster and more holistically than consciousness. It integrates sensory, emotional and intuitive information, offering a more complete perception of the situation. Ignoring this intuition can lead to poor decisions with negative consequences. Unlike logic, which needs facts and concrete evidence, intuition manifests itself as a feeling, a gut feeling that is difficult to explain in words, but is incredibly accurate. Developing your intuition takes practice and self-awareness. Learn to connect with your inner feelings by paying attention to your emotional reactions in different situations. Observe your body, muscle tension, a feeling of tightness in the stomach, tachycardia. These may be warning signs that something is wrong. Practice meditation or other self-reflection practices to silence your rational mind and allow your intuition to emerge more clearly. In the context of manipulation, intuition is your ally. It is an internal compass that will guide you through the murky waters of interpersonal relationships. Trusting your hunches and intuition is critical to identifying manipulative people and avoiding potentially dangerous situations. Don't ignore the signals your body and intuition are sending you. The ability to recognize and interpret these signals is essential to protecting yourself from manipulation and building healthier, more authentic relationships. Intuition is a powerful tool that should not be underestimated. Individuation, a central concept in Jungian psychology, is the process of consciously integrating various aspects of the personality, including the shadow, to achieve wholeness and self-realization. In the context of manipulation, individuation is a powerful defense tool because as we become more conscious and integrated individuals, we become less vulnerable to manipulative tactics. An integrated person with a strong identity and sense of self is less influenced by external forces. Manipulation often takes advantage of our insecurities, fears, and limiting beliefs. A person who does not know himself deeply, does not understand his own shadows and unconscious motivations, is easier to manipulate. Your insecurities and weaknesses become easy targets for a manipulator who uses these vulnerabilities for control and dominance. Individuation, on the other hand, allows us to recognize and integrate these dark parts of ourselves. By facing our shadows and integrating our repressed aspects, we become more whole, stronger, and more resilient to outside influences. This process helps us develop greater self-awareness, allowing us to identify our own needs and desires, making us less susceptible to the influence of others. An integrated person has strong self-esteem, trusts his own judgment, and does not need external approval to feel good about himself. This complicates the work of the manipulator, which is based on seeking confirmation and approval from the victim. Individuation gives us the ability to set healthy boundaries, say no when necessary, and prioritize our own interests and values. This sense of autonomy is critical to resisting manipulation. The process of individuation is a path of continuous self-discovery that requires effort and commitment. It involves examining our dreams, fears, desires, and beliefs. Jungian therapy can be a valuable tool to facilitate this process by offering a safe space to explore our deeper aspects and integrate our opposing aspects. But even without formal therapy, the practice of self-discovery, meditation, introspection, and the search for personal knowledge promote the development of a stronger and more integrated sense of self, strengthening the immune system against manipulation. Individuation is the path to liberation and a more authentic and fulfilling life. Complexes in Jungian psychology are constellations of feelings, memories, and unconscious thoughts that revolve around a central theme and often carry a strong emotional charge. These complexes, often resulting from traumatic or repressed childhood experiences, can be used by manipulators to trigger emotional reactions and control behavior. The manipulator, identifying a certain complex in the victim, uses emotional triggers to destabilize him, making him more susceptible to influence. Imagine a person with an inferiority complex. The manipulator, recognizing this vulnerability, may use criticism, sarcasm, or humiliation to activate this complex, undermining your self-esteem and confidence. The victim, immersed in feelings of inadequacy and shame, is more likely to accept the manipulator's impositions, seeking his approval and recognition to compensate for his feelings of inferiority. Another example, the abandonment complex can be exploited through the threat of abandonment or isolation. The manipulator may manipulate the victim by threatening to end the relationship or leave her alone, exploiting her fear of loneliness and rejection. The victim, trapped in a need for approval and affection, gives in to the manipulator's demands to avoid real or perceived rejection. The key to protecting yourself from this form of manipulation lies in self-awareness. Identifying your own insecurities and understanding where they come from is important to reducing your vulnerability. By recognizing the patterns of thinking and behavior associated with these complexes, you can develop strategies to deal with your emotional triggers, preventing manipulative people from exploiting them. Therapy, introspection, and self-discovery are valuable tools for identifying and combating your inhibitions. With therapy, you can explore the roots of your inhibitions, understand your behavior patterns, and develop strategies to deal with emotional triggers. Practicing meditation and mindfulness can also help you become more aware of your feelings and reactions, allowing you to more effectively identify and manage these triggers. By becoming aware of your emotional complexes and triggers, you can prevent their exploitation by manipulators, increasing your resilience and protecting yourself from emotional manipulation. Self-knowledge is your best defense. I hope this video has given you valuable tools for identifying and defending against manipulative tactics in your personal and professional relationships. Understanding the shadow, archetypes, personality, intuition, individuation, and complexes, key concepts in Jungian psychology, provides a solid foundation for more confidently navigating the complexities of human interactions. Now more than ever, awareness is your best weapon. Learning to recognize these subtle signs, often disguised as kindness or caring, is critical to maintaining your mental and emotional health. Remember, don't feel guilty if you identify with any of these situations. Recognizing manipulation is the first step to freeing yourself from its consequences. To further deepen your knowledge on the topic and learn more strategies to combat manipulation, subscribe to the channel. Activate the bell so you don't miss future videos where we'll cover additional topics and provide practical exercises to strengthen your discrimination ability. Be sure to share this video with your friends and family to help them protect themselves. Information is power, and collective awareness is critical to creating healthier, more authentic relationships. And, of course, don't forget to like this video. Your feedback is important so that I can continue to create relevant content and help more people protect themselves from manipulation. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Your participation is essential to building a strong and conscious community. Let's create a more conscious world, free from manipulation, together. Until the next video.